So here I am once again with a double chapter review of Gintama with chapters 622 and 623. And I have to say, these two chapters were so beautiful, man. With chapter 622, we're still ongoing with the women empowerment for at least the first half of it. Of course, Jirocho, along with his daughter Pirako, has finally made their return back into the series since the 4 Devas arc hundreds of chapters ago, and we know how all that went down. Of course, we knew also Jirocho was one of the 4 Devas who protected Kabukicho, and of course now has left that to, reconcile with his daughter after many years of not being with her. And throughout that chapter, we see like the overprotective father and the doting daughter, and it was very cute seeing these two interact. Now, for like the first part of the chapter, when he came in, and we know how it went down with the Shinra. We know how that went down. Also, the fact that Jirocho, when he was talking about the women, he was basically belittling the Shinra, but at the same time uplifting the women of Kabukicho, which I found to be so awesome. And it's because due to his past and his experience with Otase. Remember, he was in love with Otase when he was younger, and of course he gave her away to his best friend, his comrade, Tatsugoro, who also died during the Joy War. And for him, he says that if you are a man and you cannot even protect one woman, you do not deserve that title. In fact, you are more of a coward. And how can you look at these women straight in the face who are bold and willing to sacrifice themselves, put themselves through the front line to protect this city, and still consider them frail? And before we even die, we will continue to hang on to these titles called men. And we see where his men is like, we can't let the women get all the glory. That just goes to show you how amazing the women in Gintama are. And it's like, compared to other shonen that I've read over the years, Gintama's female characters are so refreshing because it's not like they did one amazing moment and they're pushed to the sidelines, or they're the constant damsel in distress. Of course, yes, there are times where they do need help. I will not try to say something otherwise or try to bypass that, but the women are, if not at times, on the same standing as the men, or even surpass them. I mean, look at the gender bender arc. When the females turned into males, they were even more badass than the males themselves before they transform into females. So for the females in Gintama, I have to give Gorilla Sensei a round of applause for that, because he writes the women so wonderfully in his manga, and they are just so amazing. And it goes on with Jirocho. It was just like a funny moment between him and his daughter, possibly even perverted. I don't know why they put that in there, like stick something up the. This is Gintama, so I should not be weirded out by this. I've been reading this and watching this for too long, but that was just weird. And of course, remember, Jirocho along with Gintoki, remember, they were kind of on the opposing sides, and how they introduced each other wasn't the most pleasant way. But at the end of the day, they worked together and they defeated the Shinra, because remember, Kata, who was part of the Harusame, she hired them to assassinate Jirocho and the rest of the 4 Devas until Gintoki and the rest came and defeated them. So basically, this is also the Shinra's way of revenge for their fallen brethren. But they don't know that these two have dealt with them and know their tactics and their strategies. And the same thing won't work twice on a samurai. So we get into, and there was like some amazing panels, like my god. And then we get into chapter 623, where they're constantly fighting the Shinra. They're, trying to bring them indoors so that they can fight them. And we saw for at least half of that chapter a flashback, which I never expected to happen, but I guess it's much needed when it comes to Jirocho's character, because we got very little background on him back during the 4 Devas arc. And also with Otase, and how these two characters tie into each other, and basically their history ingrained into Kabukicho's history in Japan. So these two have grown up in this rough town, this constant battling, brawling town, and that Jirocho, since he was young, has always been fighting with his fist. That he never talks to people, he talks to them with his fist. And Altasei is his childhood love interest, best friend for many, many years. So these two know each other like the back of their hands, and they know, the ups and downs, and they've seen everything happen, how this whole town has changed, and also with, the war, and with Otasei's husband going to the war and dying. They have seen everything. So it was really nice to see a background story on these two characters, and how Otasei's husband, Tatsugoru, parallels with Gintoki's character, that they practically are the same person. It's almost like you can say like a reincarnation of Otasei's husband has come back once again in a younger form, and that is Gintoki. And that's why anytime Jirocho sees him, he gets reminded of the old days. And it was really a really touching chapter, especially when you see how Jirocho and Tatsugoro got along with each other. They always fought. So as we know, Jirocho is part of the Yakuza, and Tatsugoro was part of the police force. Well, he was a man that worked by himself, but one thing they had in mind, one goal they had, and that's why they were able to connect with each other so well, was protecting that city and protecting the woman that they fell in love with within that city. So like, these two, they may have brawled, they may have fought, but like the more they connected with each other through their fists, the more their souls have touched each other. That's an emphasis with the souls thing in Gintama. So for these two characters, everything that they put into etching this city, to building up this city, is ingrained, is instilled into it, is history, and this is what Kabuki Cho has come to be in its current stage. And to see how far he has come, and now he sees a new generation of people willing to protect the city that he has long protected. You see a young, almost like a young Jirocho, just rampaging through the streets, killing the enemies left and right. And it was just like an epic chapter with an amazing flashback, an amazing backstory on these three characters, and how they basically built up the whole story of this town, and what its meaning is to many of the characters within Gintama's story. And by the end of it, by the end of the chapter, the Shinra are going to get it. The Shinra stands no chance against these samurai, especially the people from this steel town. So if you guys saw these two chapters of Gintama, chapters 622 and 623, do leave a comment down below on how you felt about these two chapters, and stay tuned for another double review until I catch up to the newest chapters of Gintama. And the links are in the description box as always, so you guys go check that out. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!